Will all the board members please come to the front and take your seats? I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Lafayette Parish School Board to order and direct your attention to the podium, please.
Good evening, Lafayette Parish School System family. We're the Voorhees twins. My sister and I are 6th grade students at David Thibodeau STEM Magnet Academy. Please rise for the presentation of colors by Como High School National Junior ROTC program, to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. You may be seated. We have to let him in. Today's habit is habit number 2. Begin with the end in mind. Have a plan. I plan ahead and set goals for myself. I am prepared at all times. I think how my choices I make will affect my future. I think about the positive and negative consequences of my actions before I act. Wishing the entire Lafayette Parish School System family a productive board meeting and a week filled with happiness.
Next item on our agenda will be under recognitions and presentations. Westside Elementary Leader in Me, celebrate Black History Month. Ms. Morrison.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We have several leadership programs in our district. For the past 4 years, I've been to many, and everybody does a wonderful job, and I enjoy it thoroughly. Recently, I attended Westside Elementary's Leader in Me, where they had actually had a combination of Leadership Day as well as Black History Month. And I tell you, they did a phenomenal job. You can tell that a lot of work and practice had went into it. And just to say a little bit about, we all know that they were displaced for 2 years and just moving to their school in August. And I have to say, I didn't expect to see all that. And they made it happen. So with further ado, I would like our students to tell you about their day.
Good afternoon. My name is Jerenacia Hopkins, and I'm a fourth grade Westside leader. Westside Elementary recently had a Black History and Leadership Day on February 28, 2019. Our students performed
a play called A World Without Black People. Students performed a bucket drumming selection led by Mr. Herbert Green, Acadiana Center of Art. Guests were entertained with a step team performance, Black Men Rising poetry selection, Rise Up dance selection, and Sabbath Habit song.
Westside Lighthouse leaders provided a campus tour for guests. During the tour, leadership posters and school-wide data were highlighted. At the end of the tour, our guests had an opportunity to view student data binders and visit classrooms. We had a great time spotlighting our school's growth.
At this time, we'll have a video presentation as well as some photos of their day.
Be proactive, you're in charge. Begin with the end in mind, success will be large. Put first things first, work then play. You should think win-win every single day. Be proactive, you're in charge. Begin with the end in mind, success will be large. Put first things first, work then play. You should think win-win every single day. Respect on the bus in a team or dress keeps me knowing that you can have it all. Responsible for yourself, knowledge is rough. Together is better, synergize you should. Sharpen the saw, balance feels best. These habits will stop you from making life a mess.
When does it come up
On behalf of Lafayette Parish School Board, we would like to present our certificate of recognition, Westside Elementary, in recognition and appreciation of your hard work and dedication to Westside Elementary School's Leadership Day and Black History Month, signed by Dr. Aguilar, Board Chair Justin Centeni, and myself, Mary Morrison.
The next item on the agenda will be the 7 Habits at David Thibodeau STEM Magnet Academy. Mr. Lachelet.
I was contacted and asked to put on the agenda a presentation by David Thibodeau STEM Academy, and that seems to be them up there. Y'all go ahead.
One moment, please. I'm sorry. Good evening, Dr. Aguilar, President of the Board, members of the Board, and to everyone in attendance.
We are students from David Thibodeau STEM Magnet Academy, and we are here tonight to talk about the leader in me and the 7 habits.
On behalf of our administrative team, Mr. Heidi Broussard, Mr. Jeff Zebetez, and Ms. Monica Guillory, we would like to share with you the impact that Leader in Me has had on our school this year. Before we go any further, please allow us to introduce ourselves. My name is Brianna Dozart, and I'm the president of Interact Club, a cheerleader, a Bulldog ambassador, and a member of Lafayette Junior Leadership.
I am Cameron Thayart, and I'm the school's videographer and photographer, and I'm a member of Beta, Interact, and HOSA.
And we are both members of Lead 1-2, the student leadership organization at DTSMA. We have over 1,200 students at our school, and today a few of our student leaders at our school are going to introduce themselves to you.
Good evening. I'm Caitlin Foster, and I'm a part of David Thibodeau's Lead 1-2, HOSA's medical program, and Talented Music.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tyler Vaughn. I am part of Lead 1-2 and the PBIS Student Committee.
Hi, my name is Heaven Mahmoud. I'm the captain of David Thibodeau's dance team, a member of Interact, and a member of National Honor Society.
Good evening. My name is Brennan Prager. I'm a member of Lead 1-2 and Speech and Debate.
Good evening. My name is Kayla Spencer. I'm a member of the varsity cheer team, HOSA, Lead 1-2, Beta, National Honor Society, and Talented Theater.
Hi, my name is George Merhage. I'm a member of Talented Theater, Lead 1-2, and Beta Club.
Hi, my name is Petra Williams. I'm a member of Spanish Club, Interact Club, Beta Officer, National Honor Society, Lead 1-2, and I'm also on the tennis and cheerleading team.
Hi, my name is Juliana Voorhees. I'm a member of Speech and Debate, Lead 1-2, Talented Theater, and Revive. Hi, my name is Isabella Voorhees. I'm a member of Lead 1-2. I'm a David Thibodeau cheerleader, Revive, and Talented Piano.
Now that you have met some of our student leaders, let's take a look at the video where students and staff at DTSMA discuss the leader in me and the 7 habits. This video is a great way to see the importance and the impact of leadership. This video was also created by me. Input. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. I want to get it right for y'all.
Hi, my name is Monica Guillory, and I'm the Assistant Principal over the High School Department here at David Thibodeau STEM Magnet Academy. This was our first year as a Leader in Me school, and what an awesome year it was. This year, students and staff worked with Becky Kramer, and she really gave us a vision for our school and how to incorporate the 7 habits into a middle high school setting. We also started a student leadership group, and the students named it Lead 1-2. And the last thing we did that I'm super proud of is our leadership event that took place a couple of weeks ago. Let's take a look at students and staff as they talk about the 7 habits and Leader in Me.
Lead 1-2 is a student-led organization here at David Thibodeau. I'm a proud member of Lead 1-2, and it basically gives the students a voice, just like allowing the students to be leaders, and we help with the announcements, we help with orientation and whatnot. It's a really good group, and I'm proud to say that I'm part of Lead 1-2.
Hi, my name is Kayla Spencer. I'm a 10th grader here at David Thibodeau. Being a part of Lead 1-2 has helped me in various ways. Recently, we participated in Leadership Day where we exhibited what we do at our school for Lead 1-2, and it showed me how to be responsible and how to work with my fellow school community to make something awesome, and I'm really proud to be a part of it.
Hi, my name is George Merhenge and I'm in 10th grade. You might be wondering how we came up with the name Lead 1-2. Well, over the summer we started brainstorming ideas, and there's only 12 of us, so we thought Lead 1-2. And there's actually a deeper meaning behind this name. We kind of envisioned leading one person to their desired goal, which is what we stand for.
Hi, my name is Petra Williams. I'm a 10th grader at DTSMA, and my favorite habit is habit 7, sharpen the saw. The reason why that's my favorite habit, because I feel like everyone has room for improvement, and as you go from 6th grade to 12th grade, you're going to learn from different experiences.
Hi, my name is Isabella Voice, and I'm a 6th grader here at David Thibodeau, and my favorite habit is begin with the end in mind. This means that you can set goals for yourself and you can improve on your academics that will better your grades and help with schoolwork.
Hi, I'm Heidi Broussard. I'm the assistant principal over middle school at David Thibodeau. My favorite habit is habit 2, beginning with the end in mind. I think that it's important for students and adults to always keep this in mind, because it's important to know where you're going And if you begin with the end in mind, you're going to know how to get there. So, habit 2.
Hi, my name is Heather Mahmood. I'm the captain of the DTSMA Royals dance team. For Leadership Day, we did a performance just to get the people excited about coming to our school.
Hi, my name is TJ Woodard and I'm a 10th grader here at David Thibodeau. The 7 habits really help high school students to flourish outside of high school in environments like college and the work field. This is because it teaches them skills of accountability and it gives them social skills that aren't taught in the classroom.
Hi, my name is Cameron Therard and I'm a sophomore here at David Thibodeau. My leadership role at DTSMA is being the school's photographer and videographer. Through this amazing opportunity, I am able to capture the great moments that happen with the various leaders here on our campus.
Hi, my name is Brendan Prejean. I'm a sophomore at David Thibodeau and a member of Lead 1-2. One of the main things that Leader in Me helps us do throughout our school is to recognize those students that go unrecognized. For Valentine's Day, we had a student that made over 600 Valentine's Day cards, put them in teachers' boxes, and let the teachers pass them out. She did not want any recognition. In my opinion, that is what you call a leader.
Hi, my name is Jeff Debatez, and I'm the principal of David Thibodeau STEM Magnet Academy. My favorite habit is to be proactive, being prepared for things that might come your way rather than reacting to those things after they've happened. As a school principal, being proactive is very important because there are many things that come our way and we need to be prepared before those incidents happen. Our student leaders teach each other to be proactive so they're not finding themselves behind in grades or behind in deadlines that they have, and it's just a good habit for us all to practice. We are so excited to have the Leader in Me here at David Thibodeau STEM Magnet Academy. We've had a wonderful year this first year, and I can't wait to see how it improves or grows leaders in our students and teachers at the school.
Now that you've watched the video, allow my twin sister and I to tell you how we are leaders at David Thibodeau. At STEM, we try our very best to start everyone's day on a happy note by being cheerful and encouraging while we share what's going on here at school each week. We start each morning by leading with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a few moments of silence. After that, we share the daily habit and give examples on how to incorporate them in our daily lives. We know that each habit will help us as we transition from middle and high school students to young adults. We are proud leaders of the Bulldog family.
In closing, we would like to thank Ms. Becky Kramer and Ms. Kay Merricks for the love and support they have given us at David Thibodeau. It is because of these two amazing individuals that our school has been given this amazing opportunity to highlight the importance of developing leaders at every school, at every grade level.
In just 1 year, Leader in Me has had a very positive effect on David Thibodeau. We give thanks to all of our teachers for showing us the importance of incorporating all of the 7 habits into our lives on a daily basis. In the future, we look forward to increasing the number of student leaders on our campus for the 19 to 20 school year. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is one of my personal favorites, the results on the Cuisine du Jardin cook-off. Who was the winner? Mr. Lachelet, please take it from here.
I don't want to disappoint you, Mr. Hidalgo. Do we have any of our teams here, or Ridge, Alice Boucher, El Leo here with us?
Well, we got we got the 2 losers here for sure.
That looks like Ridge right there. That looks like my team. Mr. Broussard, may I repeat what they said about me and you on stage? About our dishwashing? We had a challenge, Mr. Broussard and myself, on who was the better dishwasher. And they said it was a draw. But she guaranteed that by me and Mr. Broussard being in the kitchen washing dishes, we were the 2 cleanest politicians in Louisiana. Would someone from Ridge want to get to the microphone and introduce everybody?
Wasn't quite prepared for a speech, but I'm Dionne Stutes, their teacher, 2nd grade. Elise Salazar is in the front. She was our cook-off member. Sophie Cradair, Elliot Boudreau, Bryson Lanche, Derek Hoffpower, and our chef, Mr. Kurt Guillory.
While the president is making his way back to a seat, and take this opportunity to steal a second, say congratulations let me be clear, to say congratulations to this year's winner. They went back and they practiced hard because we were last year winners, and I applaud them for their efforts. And I wouldn't say the reason why they won because Mr. Lachele was a dishwasher, but he played a large factor. I didn't see him go wash any dishes, but I don't think any of my students are here, and I want to congratulate them for their effort as well and sticking with their theme, being a Spanish immersion school. I was the only one on the team that did not speak Spanish, so the whole time they were speaking, I didn't understand a word they said, but we worked hard.
I'd like to say congratulations to all the teams. There's no losers in the cook-off competition. LEO came out 3rd. We've already taken 1st place, so I don't think they're going to let us win again. So you're just getting your turn. So our turn will come up again. So congratulations to all the students and the chefs and everyone that participated. Thanks.
Mary, you didn't wash any dishes. You did not wash them.
Well, congratulations to the 3 of you for participating again. I always enjoy the report back after it happens. The next item on our agenda will be the 2020 Teachers of the Year. I assume that means 2019 Teachers of the Year?
I did.
Okay. Did I miss a year?
Superintendent comments, or is he coming now? 2020. They do it a year ahead.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
We've been working.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. It is Mr. Craig and I's pleasure this evening to recognize our Teacher and Principals of the Year. Ahead of recognizing our Teachers of the Year, I want to review with our audience the criteria for selection. A nomination form is sent to all schools asking for staff to nominate and vote on a Teacher of the Year. Once that teacher is selected, the name is sent to the central office, 1 name per school. Schools with elementary and middle schools can select 2 teachers, 1 for each level. Schools with middle and high can select 2 teachers, 1 for each level. All of the teachers are given the website of and directions from the Louisiana State Department of Education to complete their application. Once these applications are completed, they are submitted to Ms. Diane Burrell. The applications are then scored according to rubrics from the Louisiana Department of Education. The academic specialists and coaches score and review the applications and the submitted video. The top 5 finalists move to the interview level for each grade level, elementary, middle, and high. A set of 5 questions are part of the interview. The score for the rubrics and interview are tallied, and the winners move to the state level to represent Lafayette Parish. We would like at this time to extend a very special thank you to the following people for making the Teacher of the Year process go smoothly. Mr. Randy Bernard and his staff for working on the rubrics and the scoring of the Teacher of the Year packets, and the following volunteers for being judges for the interview process. Mr. Todd Mouton from the Pew Family Foundation, Ms. Carol Broussard, retired principal from Lafayette Parish, Dr. Nathan Roberts, Dean of the College of Education for UL, and Ms. Lisa Anderson, retired teacher from Lafayette Parish. And at this time, we'll begin announcing our Teachers of the Year. From Acadian Middle School, Sarah Kale. From Acadiana High, Dante Hebert. From L.J. Alamon Middle School, Melanie Terrio. From Alice Boucher Elementary, Amber Richard. From Paul Bro Middle, Adixia Perez Estancaro. From Broadmoor Elementary, Kelly Dugas. From Broussard Middle, Brian Brady. From Corporal Michael Middlebrook Elementary, Mary Graham. I'm going too fast? They're out of order? Maybe we need to make it. Michael Middlebrook Elementary. You're welcome. From Charles Burke Elementary, Amy Hadley. From W.D. Smith Career Center, Randy Dimitet. Amy Hadley. They shouldn't.
Yep, just call out the names.
Okay.
They're out of order.
Okay. From Karen Crow Heights Elementary, Keandra Williams Bonet. Karen Crow Heights. Karen Crow High School, Phyllis Chasson. From Karen Crow Middle, Tiffany Bro. Catherine Drexel Elementary, Ariel Gruning. From Dussault Elementary, Angela Edwards. From Early College Academy, Vicki Hebert. From Evangeline Elementary, Cherie Bartley. J.W. Falk Elementary, Carrie Vaughn. From Ernest Gaulet Elementary, Tiffany Lansotti. From J. Wallace James, Michelle Abear Schutz. Judy's Middle School, Fallon Beerb. Elio Judice Elementary, Lauren Duyon. Elio Judice.
What's the next one? Elio Judice. She must have come late. Yes.
Dr. Chisholm, I'm doing my job perfectly.
Stop.
I don't take responsibility for the certificates. I'm just calling the names. So is this Lauren?
The next one's
From Lafayette High School, Nicholas Bim. Lafayette Middle School, Marcus Jackson. From Green Tea Linden Elementary, Christiana Leday. They just told me to call. They just told me to come call the names. I'm good. We're one behind. I need good help, Miss Al. From Lafayette, I'm sorry, from Live Oak Elementary, Jennifer Masip. From Edgar Martin Middle, Chase Talley. From Milton Elementary, Annette Bowden. From Milton Middle, Natalie Davis. From S.J. Montgomery Elementary, Courtney Green. From M.P. Moss. From La Rosa Preparatory, Hope Broussard. From Northside High School, Alexander Thomas. From Austin Elementary, Allison Klaus. From Prairie Elementary, Jennifer Cohen. From Scott Middle, Melissa Dewey. From Southside High School, Brian Gary. From David Thibodeau Tech Steel Magnet Academy, Casey Edgar Jackson. From David Thibodeau Tech Steel Magnet Academy for the high school, Faith Durble. Fathi Durble. That's all good. They got to spell it right. I think so. From Truman Montessori, Angela Williams. From Woodvale Elementary, Laura Beth Bollinger. From Youngsville Middle School, Erin Artigo. From E.J. Sam Accelerated School, Anna Alexander. Congratulations to all of our Teachers of the Year.
She didn't have her certificate. Could you take her picture again? What school? What school are you from?
At this time, I'd like to recognize our District Teachers of the Year. At the elementary level, our 2020 Teacher of the Year is Lauren Elise Duyon. Lauren is a teacher at Leo Judice. Lauren is a first grade teacher at Leo Judice. She has been teaching for 5 years. Lauren believes that the path to excellence begins with ownership of one's education. From day one, she encourages all students to find their genius. She says that her job as a teacher is not to regurgitate information. She is there to facilitate a positive and empowering learning environment that allows students to achieve both academic and personal success. They need to close that door. In order to do that, she believes that she must lead by example. Lauren also believes that a true leader never stops looking for ways to evolve the world around them. Congratulations to Miss Duyon. Our middle school Teacher of the Year is from David Thibodeau STEM Magnet Academy, Miss Casey Edgar Jackson. Casey is a 7th grade English language arts teacher at David Thibodeau STEM. She taught at Acadian Middle from August 2013 to July 2017. Casey believes that every child is capable of learning, deserves to learn, and that it is her responsibility to teach those that come through her classroom. Congratulations, Ms. Jackson. Our district high school Teacher of the Year is Mr. Alexander Thomas of Northside High School. Mr. Thomas has been teaching for 14 years. He believes that excellence is defined as being outstanding or extremely good. As educators, we strive to push our students to achieve their dreams, learn content, strengthen areas of weakness, and become lifelong learners and productive members of society. Congratulations, Mr. Thomas. Absolutely. We're going to do Principals of the Year, but that's it. At this time, we will recognize our Lafayette Parish School District Principals of the Year. Our Elementary School District Principal of the Year for the year 2020 is Ms. Cherie Fontenot from J.W. Falk Elementary.
Angela's asking for the district. Andrew's asking for the district teachers to come back in because they got a goodie bag for them.
Okay.
So if
can you tell someone out there?
There.
Ms. Fontenot has been principal at J.W. Falk for the past year. She has 24 years of education experience, 3 of which are in Lafayette Parish. Congratulations, Ms. Fontenot. Our Middle School District Principal of the Year is Mr. John Broussard from Mr. John Mouton from Broussard Middle. Mr. Mouton displays a tremendous positive influence over his school and community, and his legacy will continue to impact Broussard Middle for many years in the future. Under his leadership, Broussard Middle became a Leader in Me Lighthouse School in March 2018, a worldwide honor within the Leader in Me and Franklin Covey network. Mr. Mouton has 17 years of educational experience with the Lafayette Parish school system. Mr. Mouton was also selected as Principal of the Year in 2016, 2018, and named semi-finalist for the 2018 Principal of the Year with the State Department of Education. Congratulations, Mr. Mouton. And now our High School Principal of the Year from David Thibodeau STEM Magnet Academy, Mr. Jeff Debatez. Mr. Debatez has been principal of David Thibodeau STEM Magnet Academy for the past 8 years. He has 30 years of education experience with the Lafayette Parish school system. Congratulations, Mr. Debatez, and at this time we would like our District Principal of the Year winners and District Teachers of the Year to come forward. We have a presentation from Meritus Credit Union. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to be here this evening. We're so proud to be able to add to the recognition for the district level Teachers of the Year and Principals of the Year. We are so excited about being a partner with Lafayette Parish School System since 1954, founded by educators from the school system. We continue to serve this community. And tonight, we are particularly happy to be able to award not only a small gift for each of the district winners, a $50 gift card for your own use, but for every Teacher of the Year, their school will receive a $500 gift to be able to be used by that teacher in their name for their instructional use. So we're very excited to share with Lauren Duyon, Casey Edgar Jackson, and Mr. Alexander Thomas tonight. Thank you very much for all you do. And of course, none of this would be possible without great leaders. So we would like to also provide a gift to each of the district principals of the year, Mr. Devites, Mr. Mouton. I always do that too, Mr. and Ms. Fontenot. Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to take a 5-minute recess and give everybody time to stretch their legs out in the hallway if you so choose. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if might I recommend that if you intend to leave, now is the time. If you intend to stay, now is also the time. We're going to get back started. We're on to our information items. The first one is the One Acadiana 55 by 25 initiative. Ms. Morris is not here, but I'll recognize Mr. Bro.
Yes, good evening, members of the board, Dr. Aguilar and team. Thank you all for having us this evening. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Natalie Harder of SOCC and Ann Swanson of CGI for this presentation. And we have a short PowerPoint. Justin said we have, how long, Justin?
It gets shorter every time you ask.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. We're very happy to be here. So I'm Ann Swanson, and I am the U.S. Education and Workforce Development Coordinator for CGI, and I proudly live here in Lafayette, Louisiana. And so I want to tell you a little bit real quickly about CGI. We are a global IT company. We have 74,000 people who work for us around the globe. We have 460 people here in Lafayette who are helping build custom software. We're ramping that number up to at least 800, and almost every single one of them has a college degree and 47 different majors represented, most of them technical, and we love the people we have and we want more like them. And so we are one of the many businesses that has gotten behind the 55 by 25 initiative with One Acadiana, working with bodies like yours here to make that a reality, to increase educational attainment for our region. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Harder to tell you more about that.
Thank you so much, Ann, Dr. Aguilar, and the school board members. So you can see through the slides, we'll talk a little more off the cuff because of the time constraint. But we recognize that businesses like CGI and the others who are members of One Acadiana, we have had long conversations about the importance of strengthening public education, but I would dare say we never really we've got more than putting our toe in the water. So we came together, and through various conversations with the business leaders and individuals throughout 9 parishes, we agreed to take on an educational attainment goal of having 55% of our adult population in the 9 parishes have a quality credential or more by the year 2025. If you go through the to this slide, you can see currently the blue line is the percent of individuals that have a associate's degree or higher. And then using Lumina Foundation data, you can see that you add about another 14–15% to that for high quality credentials. So we are at about 38–39%. That red trajectory carries on to the next page that says that if we don't do anything else, by the year 2025, only 43% of adults will have a high quality credential or more. So we have committed, higher education has committed, and all of the superintendents and many of the board members throughout the 9 parishes to try and bridge that gap that's almost 12% at this point. So higher education is already working on some things like reverse transfer. Somebody leaves us, gets associate level number of credits while they're at UL, for example. Can we award them an associate's degree automatically before they either finish at UL or potentially drop out? UL is trying to corral back people that are close to graduation. We've ramped up the number of certifications that we're now offering. And so the reason, I will go back to this slide, that this is so important is that you know that we are at the bottom in terms of educational attainment in comparison to the rest of the country. We have such a low percentage of individuals with even a high school diploma, right? So there's 1.6 million of our adults with a high school diploma or less. If we're going to compete and provide CGI with the workforce it needs, not only does the state have to improve that percentage, but Acadiana is 5th out of 8 regions in the state. So the state is here, and Acadiana drops even a bit lower in our own state. So what we're asking you tonight is, if you're interested in getting involved, we have 4 different teams working on nationally recognized benchmarks that either lead up to an individual to be successful in earning a credential, or an individual earning a credential or a diploma or a degree. And you can either reach out to myself or Andre or Ann if you happen to know her, and we can get you connected with the right team. But I think more importantly is, when you hear about 55 by 25, to know that we have the Lafayette School Board supportive of that initiative. That would be very strategic for us, because you got a big school district, and we want to help see everyone succeed. Any questions about the information that is in there? And encourage you to, if you have time, to look through it a little more. You can see the 4 teams that we have there: kindergarten readiness, 3rd grade reading, high school to college transition, and credential completion. So if you have a particular interest in any of those, let us know.
Dr. Harder, who should we direct people who would like to get involved? Who should we direct them to?
Whoever they know, myself, Andre, anybody else at One Acadiana, we will take all comers. We've got a newsletter.
What if they don't know anyone at One Acadiana?
Oh yeah, go ahead. And Andre, keep me honest here, but I believe if you go to the One Acadiana website under education, there's a form you can fill out, and you can mark what your interest area is of those 4 areas that we're concentrating on, so you can actually go there and sign up for one of the committees.
Or the 55 by 25 Acadiana.org will get you there.
That's the information I was looking for. Thank you so much, Dr. Harder. Thank you, Ann.
And I just thank you for your support of Early College Academy. Very excited that they're nominated for a Blue Ribbon School. Thanks.
And Mr. Centani, without objection from the board, I'd like to send a letter on behalf of the Lafayette Parish School Systems indicating our 100% support of the 55 by 25 initiative.
I think no one's going to object to that, are we?
No. I do have a question.
Mr. Kinesic objects.
Dr. Harder, do we know how many people, the 11.7% of 25 and above, how many people is that? And so that was my first question. The second question is, do we have the capacity with SLCC, UL, other, I guess, certifying bodies to meet that goal?
Yeah. I think we certainly have the capacity. We check in on those things all the time, in terms of where we are in terms of classrooms and pieces like that. So we certainly have the capacity, and I do believe that we can get to a significant, I wouldn't say a significant number, but probably at least 3 to 4% of that if we go back and capture folks that have college credit but never were given a credential. I mean, it used to be a time where you had to apply to graduate. Well, if you just needed something in order to go to work, or you didn't have the money to apply for graduation, you left us or you left UL without a credential. But that's a great question. I don't know the exact number there.
The capacity isn't the issue.
I don't know. I don't think capacity is the issue.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Thank you so much for your presentation, ladies.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is one from me, a discussion of the parent opt-out on student information sharing requirements of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. And 2 weeks ago, I will be exceptionally brief. 2 weeks ago, a parent from Lafayette High contacted me because a military recruiter texted his 11th grade daughter on her cell phone, and he wanted to know how the military got that information. And Mr. Craig explained to me that as part of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act at the federal level, any school system that or any local education agency that receives federal money must make contact information for juniors and seniors available to military recruiters. However, there is an opt-out option. And Mr. Craig has described the steps to me, so I wanted to just get a little bit of publicity on the fact that this information is required to be shared, and also publicize how the parents and students are to opt out of this information sharing should they wish to. So I'm going to read your document, Mr. Craig. Steps to follow in preparation of electronic file for LPSS distribution. The counselors on the high school campuses hand out the military opt-out form to every junior and senior. Those students who wish to opt out must sign and return the form to the school's counseling department. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Craig, this gets handed out at the same time as the handbook?
when the counselors do their initial junior and senior meetings in the fall.
Okay. And did we attach this to the agenda item? Or
no, it was published before the board's agenda was published before that.
Well, you can
put that on the website.
But the counselors have this, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is a form called the Military Recruitment Opt-out Form that you sign and return to your high school guidance counselor, and that will prevent us from sharing your child's contact information with military recruiters should you wish to do so. So I would recommend contacting Mr. Craig if you have further questions. Thank you, Mr. Craig. All right, next item on the agenda, the BU Elementary School change order for weather delays. Dr. Aguilar, I believe you'll, or Mr. Bordelon will handle this.
Yes, sir. Mr. Bordelon will update the board on the need for this change order.
Good evening, members of the board. Kyle Bordelon, Director of Planning and Facilities. I've included in your packet a calendar indicating the extreme number of days that the contractor has experienced rain days or days that were just extremely wet, which hampered their operations. I must say that the contractor has done an extremely good job of getting to the point where he is now. However, because of these number of days, they cannot guarantee that they will be completed by the July 15th date that we had set in the contract. So with that in mind, and also let me back up and say that in our contract, we show that the contractors to expect a certain number of rain days per month, which is the average number of rain days per month that we experience in this area. However, we've experienced a huge amount of rain above and beyond the average number of rain days. So at this point, the contractor is entitled to some extra time, somewhere in the neighborhood of around 75 days. If you add 75 days to July 15, that puts us at a completion date of about October 1st. So we began some discussions with the contractor as to what can be done so that we can have the school, or at least the majority of the school, ready for July 15th, so that give us some time to move in and be prepared to take kids in on August the 15th when school gets started. So what resulted from those discussions is that the contractor can work 3 major subcontractors 60 hours a week for the next 3 months, and that will involve some extra dollars on our part, but that they will guarantee us that we will have the 2-story classroom stack, which is the vast majority of all the classrooms in the building, all the restrooms that are associated with that, the major corridor that leads from the front entrance of the building to the classroom stack. It involves the administrative area and the dining hall, so that we can at least satellite food in and we can feed the kids, so they can get their education, they can get their meals, and they'll have the front entrance to come in. You know, buses drop off, moms drop off, they come into the building and exit out the building there. Now, to get there, for that overtime cost, we're looking at $531,545. So that's what we are. That's what we'd like to proceed forward with. We wanted to notify the board of that in case there were any questions or comments, or if the board even wanted to tell us not to proceed with that.
Thank you, Mr. Bordelon. Do we have any questions from members of the public on this issue? Do we have any questions from members of the board? Mr. Hidalgo.
Mr. President, I don't have a question. I do have a comment. This school needs to be open in August. We have rezoning and a bunch of things that have been implemented and are in place. This school has to be open for August 15th.
Thank you, Mr. Hidalgo. Do we have any other board comments? Any other comments from staff? Oh, Dr. Chastel, I'm sorry.
Help me reason this out again, Kyle. Tell me in layman's terms exactly what's going on so I can wrap my head around $531,000.
It rained an extremely large amount of rain during the months that the contractor had started working, from June all the way to February. So the contractor is behind schedule. He has experienced a large number of rain days over and above the average, and he is entitled to those rain days by the contract. If we give him that time extension, that puts that time that he has to complete the building to about October 1st. So if we would like to try to get that building occupied with students on August 15th, we have a choice to pay some overtime or not.
Okay, so the basis of it is basically to pay overtime, basically.
Yes,
Okay.
yes sir, basically.
So on these rainy days, for a project that the contractor was paid for, he wasn't able to work.
Correct.
So therefore, no money was spent on those contract days. Is that correct, or am I thinking with some fallacy?
Well, there was some work that was done, but there was a lot of work that could not be done. You can't apply roofing in the rain. You can't install bricks in the rain. When the roof is not installed and water is dripping through the structure, you can't install air conditioning. You can't install electrical and plumbing and things like that. So I'm not going to stand here and tell you that absolutely no work took place.
Right.
Because there was some work that was taking place in some parts of the building, but it was not nearly what could have been taking place had it not rained so many days.
Okay. Before I go off on a tangent of random questions, I'm going to ask the president if he wouldn't mind if I ask Mr. Knezik a question.
Certainly ask me a question.
All righty. Board President, would you mind asking Mr. Knezik, who tends to deal with these things, is this typical of what occurs, because he does this type of work, as far as this type of rainy situation? Because I'm thinking in the opposite direction. I'm thinking rainy days, not all what you were gonna spend was spent. So therefore, I mean, we've paid you for something. If you have to then still get the same amount of work done, maybe I'm thinking wrong, but I know he'd be able to help me with it.
While I ask Mr. Knezik if he has any comment on your statement there, I would suggest that there's a second attachment on the agenda item that describes each subcontractor's overtime calculation based on a 6-day, 10-hour work week, which means we're paying $20, 20 hours at time and a half per laborer on the job. So with that said, Mr. Knezik, do you have any comment on Dr. Cheson's question?
So in the simplest sense, if we do nothing tonight, the buildings will be finished in October, right? We don't want that. We want them done in August. And we have, because of the contract, and there was a shared risk. We said, hey, you get so many rain days. Unfortunately, it exceeded that. So now his schedule to do that amount of work for that amount of money now extends into October. We don't have a contractual mechanism to make the contractor accelerate to August 15th because we had provisions in there for weather days. Because we want him to finish, he is offering, or he or she, the company is offering, hey, we can do that, but it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you overtime. I can run extra crews. And as federal law requires that if he works as folks, or he or she works as folks over 40 hours, they have to pay overtime. So that's where this premium comes in. If we don't mind, if the school's not open until October, we can save our $530,000. But if we do mind, and it is important to us, then we need to pay the premium so that we can finish in time. And the other question I asked earlier today was, the contract has liquidated damages, which means that now we'll have a new finish date. If the contractor doesn't finish by that date, then the contractor owes us money. So this is kind of, I mean, if we approve this, we should have a guaranteed finish date.
I would also, as Mr. Knezik said, if we do nothing, the building will be finished on October 1st. It's not going to cost us any additional money to wait until October 1st. So that leads me to say they were not paid for labor done, or for all of the labor that could have been done on a rain day. because we didn't see any increase in cost despite the fact that they're going to be working later in the schedule. Do you have any further questions? Ms. Morrison?
Yes. I want to ask Dr. Aguilar or Ms. Troxclair, what is the challenges for the students starting in October? I know August is the start date. What are those challenges if we wait until October to
Ms.
open the
Morrison,
school?
we have too much riding on this decision. That's why we're bringing it to your attention now. We essentially had a March deadline to discuss with the architect and the contractor about a path to get us to opening on time. There is no contingency to let this one school open in late September or early October. We have rezoning that this board's already approved in South Lafayette. This is the only path forward to open a BO Elementary on time and deal with the rezoning of the elementary schools in South Lafayette.
There's some real issues, Ms. Morrison, with having some children start school for a month and a half somewhere else, and then move, change schools, change teachers, that kind of thing. So, anyway, does this item require action?
It does not. We wanted to bring it to you as an information item.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments on this item? Dr. Chessel.
Will Barranco Elementary be open on time based upon these same measures?
Yes, Barranco will open on time. There are no issues with Barranco. We are moving forward with preparing the school, ordering new furniture. It will open on time. But we've got GT Linden, we've got Drexel, we've got Gallette, and BO Elementary School impacted by BO opening.
Are there any other questions or comments from board members? All right. Thank you, Mr. Bordelon. The next item is list of bids approved to be advertised by the superintendent. Does anyone have any questions for the superintendent on this item? All right. The next item is Resolution 01-19-1949, final approval of the issuance of sales tax revenue bonds. As you may recall, we authorized the issuance of up to $25 million of sales tax revenue bonds. The superintendent has placed this item on here to make you aware that we are issuing $25 million worth of revenue bonds. Does anyone in the public have any questions on this item? Do any board members have any questions? Okay. The next item is Human Resources, Personnel Changes, March 13th, 2019. Mr. V, do you have any introductions?
No, sir. No, sir, there's no introductions.
Do any members of the
questions?
Do any members of the public have any comment or questions on this item? Do any board members have any comments or questions on this item? Thank you, Mr. V. I will now read our consent agenda. Board members, if you would like to pull an item, please say so when I read. Item number 1, academics, summer school programs. Item number 2, early obligation and release of funds for textbooks and consumables.
Please pull that.
Item number 3, approval to enter into a professional services contract with Haney and Associates.
Pull it.
Item number 4, general fund budget revisions, custodian position for MP Moss Central Office Annex Building. Item number 5, approval of bids for Evangeline Elementary and Acadia Middle Classroom Wing. Item number 6, award of quote for Lafayette High Visitors Parking Lot Project. Item number 7, approval of award of garbage collection, recycling services, and electronic waste contract. Item number 8, approval of servitude for Drexel Elementary School electrical service. Item number 9, Resolution 03-19-1952, appointment of special counsel. Item number 10, revision of bond and pay-as-you-go project listing. Item number 11, sales tax collection report for January 2019. Item number 12, budget to actual reports February 2019. Item number 13, grant fund summary February 2019. Item number 14, ratification of rejection of bids, portable audience chairs, bid number 54-19, and authorization to rebid. Item number 15, budget revisions to General Fund Cost Center 1110, insurance administration. Item number 16, General Fund budget revision to Cost Center 1514. Item number 17, risk management revisions to policy JGCE, child abuse. Item number 18, risk management revisions to policy IHAD, parent conferences. Item number 19, approval of minutes. Item number 20, auction of surplus equipment and supplies. Item number 21 will be pulled per the request of the Assistant Superintendent, Child Nutrition Services, approval of resolution 03-19-1953, National Nutrition Month and National School Breakfast Week. Item number 22, discussion concerning investigative proceedings related to allegations of misconduct. Item number 23, approval of all action consent items. I have a motion by Mr. Angel.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Morrison to approve all items not pulled, which at this point in time are items numbers 2 and 3. Yes, sir.
There's no action for 422.
That's correct.
So how is it going to be discussed?
You will need to pull that one.
Okay.
You'd like to pull it?
Yeah, but this item was supposed to be for executive session as well.
You will need to pull it and make a motion to go into executive session at the
Pull that
appropriate time. Okay. Number 22 is also pulled. So everything except items 2, 3, and 22. Members of the public, do you have any comments or questions on these items? Now is your time. Hearing none. Board members, do you have any comments or questions on these items? Mr. Knezik.
I have one question on item 4.7. I think it's for Mr. Bordelon. And it is simply that since we now have a recycling program, I just wanted to ask what the checks and balances are as far as do we get receipts for recycling? How do we know that the items that we've set aside for recycling are actually being recycled? And if the answer is I don't know or don't know, that's fine. My next question would be can we make sure that there is a requirement?
We rely on a report from the current vendor to tell us either quarterly or annually how much recycling has not gone into the regular waste stream. As of a few days ago, I think they told me for the last 12-month period it was somewhere around 121 tons is what they have either calculated, estimated, or verified. I can't remember each one, but it's one of those. But I mean, we can write something into the next contract about the recycling.
Well, the concern is that from one of the unsuccessful bidders is that because of the price of recycling is making it somewhat cost prohibitive, that it's more likely than not that things that we think are going to be recycled don't end up in recycling, they end up in landfills. So I think that the intent is to recycle it, therefore the requirement should be to recycle it. And if we need to make sure that that's, we just need to have some sort of form of accountability for that. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Are there any other board member question or comment? Mr. Hidalgo pointed out to me that I want to say it one more time. So all of the items on the agenda besides items numbers 2, 3, and 22, if you have anything to comment or ask a question about any of those items right now, now is the time. And 21. I apologize. I did announce that I was pulling it, and then I didn't write it down. So anything besides those 4, I apologize. Hearing none, I will call for the vote. Appreciate that. Hopefully I wasn't confused.
Eight, 4, none against.
Motion passes. The first item we will take up individually is item number 2 for academics, early obligation and release of funds for textbooks and consumables. Mr. Knezik.
Mr. President, I move that the board approve the early obligation and release of funds to purchase ELA math and science textbooks and consumables for the 2019-2020 school session for the amount of $3,842,363.26.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Knezik, a second by Ms. Morrison, that the board approve the early obligation and release of funds to purchase ELA math and science textbooks and consumables for the 2019-2020 school session in the amount of $3,842,000, $842,363.20. Do we have any questions or comments from members of the public on this motion? Do we have any questions or comments from members of the board? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Sorry, it took me a second to get back to my.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Knezik.
I just want to make sure we're clear. On the public content, the total is different than the total I mentioned by $220,000. I just want to make sure that was clear to the board. The staff had inadvertently made I don't know if it was a math error, something was left off. The total that I said today is $220,000 more than the 3.62 listed. So the total that I said in my motion, 3.8 something million, is correct.
It's awfully ironic that they make the math error on the ELA section, right?
And Mr. Centini, I would like, ahead of the vote, so that you all know exactly what you're voting on, that with this recommendation from the staff, this would allow us to implement a Tier 1 ELA curriculum in all K-5 schools across the district, in addition to the UIR schools, which we are mandated to do. But this would then move all schools across the district, K-5, from a Tier 3 ELA curriculum to a Tier 1 ELA curriculum.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from board members? Okay, Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote.
Thank you. Thank you.
8-4, none against.
Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is number 3, approval to enter into a professional services contract with Haney and Associates. Mr. Latchley.
I didn't put it on the agenda. That's Dr. Chasson. If he wants to make a motion to go forward, we just had some questions.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion from Dr. Chasson that the board authorize the superintendent to enter into a professional services contract with Haney and Associates as attached. Second by Mr. Broussard. Do we have any comments or questions from members of the public on this item? Do we have any questions or comments from members of the board? Mr. Latchley.
I'd just like to ask staff or Dr. Chasson, what is the exact purpose of this, and why would we be spending $5,000 a month for a public relations slash lobbying group? Just kind of want to know exactly where this came from and how do we benefit from this, and I think staff may have some comments they want to make, so I'm going to just sit back and listen.
Okay. Well, there's a bus driver issue that has occurred, the same one that I spoke with you about already. There's a growing number of bus drivers that are trying to get their insurance capped at $500,000. Now, if anybody's familiar with what we have already done, board-wise, is we decided to require all bus drivers to have $1 million policy. If they are successful legislatively with their own lobbyists to get it capped at $500,000, then we won't be allowed to require $1 million. At that point, if we go back to $500,000, that was the quandary that we found ourselves in the first place, which was if someone gets into an accident and the settlement is $1.2 million, then their insurance pays up to the $500,000. Then we have to pay the $500,000 to $1 million, and then somebody help me with the term, I forget it.
Self-insured retention.
Self-insured retention, yeah, SIR then kicks in at $1 million. So we're responsible for that $500,000. What I'm at least hoping to do is use $60,000 before we get into the realm of them finding enough legislators to believe in them and agree to cap it, to head this off at the pass ahead of time with our own lobbyists, who the person that I selected is, in my opinion, the best person in the state. The individual company has companies such as the Saints and the Pelicans and Nokia. I just happen to trust these folks. So if we can get it stopped, then at that point, one accident will then have saved us that $500,000, let alone $60,000. And then as well, the same thing that I explained to Jonathan Cole in Thibodeau Tech's gym, I think it was, I'm gonna have to look at the date. I think it was, what was the date of the meeting, Mr. Cole? I'd have to look and see what the date is. I don't
March 7th. Or was it was the prior Wednesday, the prior Thursday? Okay.
Yeah, I just want to be sure I got the date correct. On February 28th, we went to David Thibodeau Tech, and it was all for teacher raises, basically. Our Democratic governor has put it into the new budget for teachers to get a raise overall. And the use of a lobbyist at that point is to help us achieve that goal. Now, there are some people, depending on what side of the coin that you're on, whether you're Republican or Democrat, will try to shoot down the notion of teacher raises because you're Republican and it's a Democratic governor. If it was the other way around, it may be the other way around. I would tend to hope that most Democrats would support teacher raises, but for some odd and strange reason, as the panelists that set up on the board, Senator Bob Hinskins, Republican, Terry Landry, Vincent Pierre, and Gerald Boudreaux, Senator Gerald Boudreaux, they explained to us that it's a very cutthroat time in this legislature. There are folks that will try to shoot this down for the teacher pay raises just simply because it's a Democratic governor, simply because they want to use the money otherwise. So just a few notes that I jotted down, which made me really press forward with this, was Vincent Pierre had pointed to all of the lobbyists in the individual audience, and they were all sitting in the front row. And he individually pointed to each one, and he said, "You guys know who you are, and you guys have a job to do right now, because obviously you're here, so you're basically supporting us." He said he asked them to go and ask pointed and direct questions as to how every individual legislator stood on the teacher pay raises. Don't sugarcoat it. Tell me how you're going to vote. And he urged them to use the personal and direct relationships with those individual legislators to get the vote across for the individual teacher raises. And then at that point, Senator Bob Hinskins made sure to let everyone know that on April 8th, this isn't going to be a part-time job. It'll be a full-time job. It will be a never-ending battle. He said each entity in here that had a vested interest should be willing to have someone to fight the battle for us year-round. Now, that really rang true for me. He said you can't let the momentum die. He said current legislators and legislators to be need to be held accountable for the vote that is going to take place. And the individual lobbyists are the ones that can get through to those folks. He also said that if we don't have the right people in place, that we need to get the right people in place. So anybody that doesn't support it, the teacher raises, should be voted out at that point. And Terry Landry then finished up with stating that all elections have consequences. So he wanted everyone to know it's very easy for a person to simply vote no on the teacher raises and not have any outside influence. and then come back and nobody knows how you voted, because then you just are running your race, and it's a very big election year. So at that point, he said that anybody that doesn't vote for this going forward, that all of those individual people, teachers as well, need to be notified as to how their legislator voted, so they can know what they need to do when it comes for their election times, because folks are playing with teacher money right now, and that's basically where we stand.
Okay, I was just wondering how we came to this. I don't guess we've had this type of person before, and there's been a lot of talk lately of, and I'm just repeating what's been said before, of hiring outside agencies by RFP. And this was just kind of brought up and put on the agenda. You know, one person we didn't do an RFP or anything to see who else was out there, so forth and so on. And just kind of want to get some insight from staff as to, you know, how necessary is this from a school system standpoint. I guess
Did you want any particular staff member to comment, or just? Well, we've got something to correct on the prior agenda item when we're done with this one here. Would any staff member like to comment on this conversation that we're having? The motion on the floor to enter into this professional services contract. They are not stampeding to the microphone, Mr. Lachele.
Doesn't look like it.
Jeremy's next. But I got you, Mr. Angel. Mr. Hidalgo.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment and ask a question of staff. And Mr. Lachele, my question wasn't exactly what yours is, but it's very similar. So I'll take a stab at it. We'll see if if we have their attention. But Mr. President, I'd like Dr. Chasson and my fellow board members to know that just yesterday, on unrelated topics, I ran into and visited with the education chairwoman, Representative Nancy Landry, and she assured me that this wasn't going to be a fight. That's her words, not mine. That teacher pay raises were something that was going to come to fruition, because it just makes sense. Now, I can't promise that. I'm just telling you what I heard from the chairwoman of the education committee at the state level, who I think would know a little bit about what's going on. However, what I want to say is that I'm going to support this initiative because we live in a lobbyist world. It's whether you like it or not, it's what we live in, and there are plenty of issues that I know someone like this could have helped us with in the past and could have saved this district a lot of money. I'm not going to name the issues, but you can use your imagination. With that said, I do want to ask Dr. Aguilar, has anyone asked you or your staff to look at this through an RFP process?
No. Okay. And let me just remind the board that there are, first of all, having a lobbyist to speak on behalf of the district has merit. So I want to say that first up. LSBA has 2 full-time lobbyists that work for all school boards. So we do have a lobbyist in Baton Rouge. The Superintendent's Association now has a full-time executive director who's there during the legislative session fighting for what is best for public education. Randy Haney is, as Dr. Chasson said, probably the most renowned lobbyist in the state of Louisiana. It's just a question of, you know, as a board, do you want to commit $60,000 a year to fund a full-time lobbyist? But no, we have not been asked to develop an RFP.
Okay. Mr. President, in closing, I'd like to say that I know personally, well, I shouldn't say personally, but I've met several lobbyists from this area. Mr. Haney's one, very well respected, and I know very capable of doing the work. I'm not going to put our state lobbyists through LSBA on that same level, respectfully. So I, again, sir, am in favor of your motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hidalgo. Mr. Angel.
Yes, that's Dr. Aguilar brought up the point. I wanted to make it. How much don't we contribute toward those 2 lobbyists we have that are full time in Baton Rouge through the LSBA?
Yes, sir, we do. Oh, I can answer that question. We pay $20,000 a year to the LSBA.
Also, first of all, I agree with Dr. Chasson. I have been lobbying in Baton Rouge on behalf of the city of Carencro and other entities since 1974. And I remember when Randy first came on board through Senator Mouton. Edgar Mouton was the guy that actually brought him on board. And I agree with Dr. Chasson. I think he's the very best in Louisiana. And not only that, I think he's the most experienced in Louisiana that I know of. But I question why we would pay lobbyists through the School Board Association, and then the Superintendent's Association pay lobbyists. Is it necessary for us to pay a lobbyist as well? I just, to use Timmy's words, I'm having a hard time putting that around my head. But let me say that there is one entity. There are better lobbyists even than Mr. Haney, and that is you and I. Let me tell you, when you're in Baton Rouge, sitting down, and these representatives and senators go to, whether it's a committee meeting or they come to vote on the floor, and they see you, and they know what you're doing there, it's very powerful. And that doesn't cost anything. Don't sell yourself short. We are very good lobbyists because elected representatives and senators respect other elected officials in Louisiana. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Angel. Do we have any more board member comments or questions? Mr. Knezik.
I started breathing in 1974. No, that's all. Thank you.
I would ask you to keep your comments germane to the motion on the floor next time, Mr. Knezik.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from board members? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote.
Seven for, one against.
Motion passes. The next item on the agenda will be item number
Mr.
21.
President.
Oh, I forgot about you, Mr. Knezik.
I might
Please,
interrupt you.
we're going to handle some business from item 4.2 that was overlooked.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to reconsider item 4.2.
Motion by Mr. Knezik that the board reconsider item 4.2 on the agenda, second by Mr. Angel. Do we have any public comment on this motion? Do we have any board member comment on this motion? Would you like to give just a short, brief reason?
Sure. I inadvertently left off $147,000 that was listed on the sheet for math and science, and my total was inaccurate, so I'd like to correct that.
Sounds like a good reason. Do we have any board member comment? Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote. They made the mistake on the English. You made it on the math.
That's right. Hope so.
Mr. Latchley.
$3,989. Yep. 26.
Mr. Latchley.
We're voted to revote. Is there anybody else you're waiting on?
Just Mr. Latchley, we got it.
Okay, great.
8 for, and none against.
Thank you for the courtesy. I have a motion that the board approve the early obligation and release of funds to purchase Tier 1 ELA and Tier 1 Math and Science textbooks and consumables for the 2019-2020 school session for a total of $3,989,363.26.
We have a motion on the floor. Did you in particular say Tier 1 for a reason, or?
I did.
Okay. That the board approve the early obligation and release of funds to purchase Tier 1 ELA, Tier 1 Math and Science textbooks and consumables for the 2019-2020 school session for the amount of $3,989,363.20.
26 cents.
26 cents?
Yes, sir.
26 cents. You're right. I'm going to ask for public comment on this item and ask our CFO and our assistant superintendents to please double check the work on that number while we wait. Any comments from the public on this item? Any comments or questions from board members? Which one of you three is getting the answer first? I want to see the number bond on this one.
I don't know. Did we have a second?
I'm sorry?
Did we have a second on the motion?
No, I think it was Mr. Angel.
Thank you.
All right, they say we're right. Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote. Oh, why are you waving, Miss? Do we need to not vote, Ms. Hebert? Hold on. Enactment? Oh, okay. Good.
Mr. Santani, would you like me to give my opening remarks while they do the math?
I asked him, and he said he was going to pass on it. If they need time, go ahead.
So, members of the board, yesterday all juniors and some of our seniors took the ACT. Over 2,100 students took part in this assessment. Administering the exam is a logistical challenge, but the schools reported that the testing went well with no significant problems. Results will be available in about 6 weeks, and administrators will begin to analyze those results. There are, as you drive around the elementary schools in the district, the pavilions are now being opened for occupancy. We have pavilions that are being used by students at Charles Burke, Karen Crowe Heights, J.W. Falk, J.W. James, G.T. Linden, Corporal Middlebrook, and Myrtle Place elementary schools now have their covered areas for recess, PE, and other outside activities.
Mr. President. Give me a minute while you're taking a break, break to do that. While we're taking a math break and various people adding these numbers, I want to take this opportunity to recognize someone and say thank you to Ms. Ella Audemont for your kind contribution throughout the years to help with the educational system at Alice Boucher. It should not go unnoticed, and we appreciate what you do for education. I know you don't want that to be known, but I would like for it to be known. So thank you very much.
And if you wouldn't mind, ma'am, I was almost threatened. I didn't know that you had did what you did. So I was almost told, you better go walk over to Miss Ella after this. I'm not going to say unless you want me to, but thank you so much. You have no idea. Thank you so much.
Mr. Santani, I'd like to modify my motion to add some language.
Please recite the additional language only.
The additional language is pending RFP approval by the board. Recommendation to be made at the April board meeting.
Madam Secretary, do you have that language that the board will approve the early obligation and release of funds to purchase ELA, Tier 1 ELA, Tier 1 Math, and Tier 1 Science textbooks and consumables for the 2019-2020 school session pending, Mr. Knezik, would you repeat it, please?
Pending RFP approval by the board, recommendation to be made at the April board meeting.
Pending RFP approval by the board with the recommendation to be made in the April board meeting. Mr. Angel, do you still second with the additional language? Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Do we have any public comment on this additional language? Hopefully we get it, hopefully the third time is a charm. Any board member comment? Mr. Latchley.
While we're waiting on the vote, I wish I would have remembered to announce.
We're not waiting yet. You want me to call the vote now? And then you can talk? All right, Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote. Now we're waiting on the vote.
I wish I would have announced this when we had a full house. April 2nd, Acadiana's former head coach Ted Davidson will be inducted into the Louisiana High School Coaches Association's Hall of Fame. It takes coaches years and years and years, and sometimes they don't even make it. His first year of eligibility, he's gonna be inducted on April 2nd, and I just kind of wanted to give Coach a shout out. He's a very humble individual. He doesn't like these things, but I'm glad it's come his way. He was very good to Acadiana and our student athletes, and very proud of him. So I just wanted to kind of mention it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Latchley. Does anyone else have anything to say while we're waiting? Certainly voted enough times. Did y'all open it? I did call for it. Oh, here it is. I challenge any elected body to beat that record for the longest unanimous vote ever.
8-4, none against.
Motion passes. Item number 21, Child Nutrition Services approval of Resolution 03-19-1953 National Nutrition Month and National School Breakfast Week. I would entertain a motion that the board approve said resolution.
I'll make that recommendation that we approve Resolution 03-19-1953 in recognition of Nutrition Month and School Breakfast Week.
I'm going to cut you some slack, Mr. Latchley, that instead of a recommendation, I'm going to call it a motion that the board approve Resolution 03-19-1953 in recognition of Nutrition Month and School Breakfast Week. Mr. Hidalgo has seconded it. Do we have any public comment on this motion? Do we have any board member comment on this motion? Mr. Craig, did you want to read the resolution, or did you just want a separate vote? Dr. Aguilar, please.
Resolution 03-19-1953, National Nutrition Month and National School Breakfast Week. Whereas National Nutrition Month and National School Breakfast Week combined has admirably served our nation for more than 40 years, and whereas all the programs are dedicated to the health and well-being of our nation's children, and whereas food is the substance by which life is sustained and learning abilities in and out of the classroom increase substantially, and whereas the type, quality, and amount of food that individuals consume each day plays a vital role in their overall health and physical fitness, and whereas there is a need for continuing nutrition education and a wide-scale effort to enhance good eating practices, and whereas there is evidence of continued need for nutrition programs and awareness of the value of school nutrition programs now, therefore be it resolved that the Lafayette Parish School Board does hereby support the month of March as National Nutrition Month and National School Breakfast Week, March 11 through 15, 2019, and encourage our administrators, teachers, all support staff, parents, students, and all other citizens to join the campaign and become aware and concerned about their children's and their own nutritional habits in hope of achieving a more healthy citizenry for today and the future.
Thank you, Dr. Aguilar. There being no further comment, Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote. So quick.
8-4, none against.
Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is item number 22, discussion concerning investigative proceedings related to allegations of misconduct. Dr. Chasson.
Motion to go into executive session.
I believe your motion needs to be a little more specific. If you would like to go into executive session, you should read the text on the subject line.
Motion to go into executive session for a discussion concerning investigative proceedings related to allegations of misconduct.
We have a motion on the floor from Dr. Chasson that the board go into executive session to discuss for a discussion concerning investigative proceedings related to allegations of misconduct. Is there a second? Motion dies for a lack of a second. That being the last item on our agenda. Yes, sir.
But then we still discuss it then, right? We don't have to go into executive.
Oh, I forgot. No, you're right. You're right. So I'll accept the motion that the board discuss this item without going into executive session. Must be a motion on the floor to discuss something.
This item was clearly placed incorrectly because whenever I specifically sent what was requested, it was very specific.
It was.
And this is not the item, but I have no problem discussing it openly. So there's no action to take on it.
Fair enough. Let's go ahead.
Okay. So my question is, there was an incident that occurred at one of our schools, and I would like to know what occurred with the investigation, because some of the individuals involved have always informed me about what went on, so I was able to then inform staff.
Dr. Chasson, may I ask Ms. Boudreau to make a comment before we go too much farther into this?
Go ahead.
All right, Ms. Boudreau. I discussed earlier that if the motion to go into executive session failed, that you at least make a brief comment on the guidelines for our conversation, given so that we don't cross any ethical or legal boundaries. And I don't think you were about to. I just want to make sure that we all understand the situation.
I can see the boundary 50 yards in front of me. I'm not even going close to it.
Once you asked me that question, I went and researched it and prepared a response. The response being that given the nature of this matter, it would be our recommendation that it not be discussed at all in open session. To the extent that I don't know where this is going, I don't know how far, what he said, that he could see it 50 feet away. I don't know what the questions are going to be, what the answers are going to be, which is why there's that exception to go into executive session on this topic. I don't know where this will lead, and that's why it's our recommendation that it not be discussed at all in open session.
Thank you for your recommendation. Dr. Chasson?
Mr. President, if I requested a motion to go into executive session and that one failed, I'm not allowed to bring it up again for executive session. Someone else would have to request it as well, correct?
I'll have to ask our parliamentarian.
That's your job. That's where the Robert Rules book gets opened up.
Dr. Chasson.
No, Mr. Hidalgo, you're our parliamentarian. We have a question of parliamentary procedure. Dr. Chasson would like to know if he can. The vice president is also. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm sitting here thinking that the vice president kept sitting right there the whole time. I apologize. Mr. Lachelet, we have a question of parliamentary procedure. Dr. Chasson would like to know if he is able to make a motion a second time that did not get a second. Please accept my apologies. I'm sorry.
I'm going to have to look you dead in the eye and say I don't have a copy of Robert's Rules with me, but if somebody knows the answer, I'd gladly accept some help on this. I didn't know I was going to ask this question, but I'll make sure I have. Oh, we got Robert's Rules. Here we go. Let's look it up.
I know the answer.
Mr. Centeni, may I address Dr. Chasson? Dr. Chasson, I did ask.
If it's related,
I believe
to
we
the answer to
can
this
discuss the issue because it's on the agenda, and I think your intent is to discuss means and methods.
Correct.
In a generic form.
Correct.
So if you're discussing means and methods in a generic form, I think that you're fine. I mean, as long as you understand that that's what our limitations are.
Well, see, the only concern that I have personally is I know my own mind, and I know where the boundary exists. Someone else is going to have to get up and answer these questions, and that person may cross the boundary. See, I can only control what comes out of my mouth. The questions I'm going to ask are going to be very direct and very pointed, but yet general. It's kind of an oxymoron right there. So at
Another
that point,
potential solution or recommendation would be you address your questions and then ask for, maybe ask for a report back. I mean, it's just, if you feel that they may get too close to where we shouldn't go, and you could just say, this is my list of questions that I like answered. You've asked them publicly, it's on record, and then you'll have the opportunity to get the answers. If you don't get the answers, certainly bring it up again. Just recommendations.
Correct. Everyone here was also allotted the opportunity to go into executive session, and granted, I know no one maybe specifically knows what's taking place, but it's what needs to be discussed, not the actual incident that occurred, but the follow-up. And this has been requested from staff upwards of 2 months ago, and I've gotten nothing. So at that point, if someone would like to go into executive session, everyone has the freedom to join me in there as well. If not, someone's got to come up and answer these questions because it deals with a very serious situation.
Well, that's Chasson. I'm going to let you make the motion again and take the responsibility if you're not allowed to. So, floor is yours if you'd like to make a motion.
I try not to break rules, Mr. Centani.
I try not to also, but
I try not to.
You already broke the rules.
Sorry.
We had a motion and it failed. So anybody can make another one until it passes. Is that the way we operate?
Do you have an objection to my ruling?
Yes.
Okay, we have an objection to the ruling. We'll sit here and we'll wait for Mr. Latchley to find it in the book.
I'm looking.
May I have the floor while waiting?
Certainly.
You stop me if you need to stop me. Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
I rise to take objection. I am of the opinion, and I firmly believe, that this is the beginning of a witch hunt. It's a witch hunt against a school in my district. A school, Mr. Knezik, that I graduated from 10 years before you were born. It's a witch hunt against the administration, a witch hunt against some of the coaches, and a witch hunt against, I feel personally.
We should stop there. This is what we should not do.
Thank you, Mr. Angel.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say? Please mind the attorney's advice.
I didn't hear what she said.
She said stop there. But I'm not going to make you. It's up to you. I'm sorry.
She never got a second, so it died. But it's not an action item.
We will take a 5-minute recess while Mr. Latchley and I consider how to handle this. Okay, we're going to return to the meeting now. Dr. Chasson, you're not allowed to make the same motion, though the decision seems to be, or the consensus seems to be, that any other board member may make that motion, since no one did actually second it. At that point, at this time, does anyone want to make any motions on this item? And if we don't, then we will continue discussing it.
Correct.
Dr. Chasson, the floor is yours.
All right. So my question to staff is, there was an incident reported at one of our schools, and there was an initial investigation, and I would like to know the procedures with which we use to investigate, and then as well any possible follow-ups, because the individuals involved have informed me that there has been no follow-up. So I would like to know what occurred. Basically the exact same thing that I explained to you. Yes, sir.
So members of the board, Joe Craig was primary lead in this investigation. We have a sanitized discussion of the steps used in the investigative process. I believe that this will satisfy conversation in open session. So without any additional comments from the board, we'd like to just read to you the steps in the investigative process from beginning to end.
Okay.
Again, please be mindful. Thank you.
If I might.
Ms. Boudreaux, please feel free to interject at any time you feel we may be treading close to the line.
If in any way that any discussion will allow the audience here or viewing to be able to tell who we're discussing, whether it's what school, the individuals, whether it's who's being investigated, who was part of the investigation, or anything along those lines. That's what cannot occur right here. So keep that in mind, everybody.
Do not be afraid to refer to them as School A, Employee B, things of that nature, please.
On Wednesday, December 19th, Mr. Hebert, myself, Ms. Trosclair, Mr. Alexander were brought together as Ms. Trosclair said that a board member had a complaint against a teacher. The board member was called and placed on speakerphone. The board member explained the allegations. The board member later added an anonymous parent on the phone call, and that parent explained their allegations. After the phone call, district administrators had a discussion about the formal complaint, and it was decided that the teacher would be placed on administrative leave while an investigation was conducted. Ms. Thibodeau wrote the letter informing the teacher that they would be placed on administrative leave until the investigation was completed. Mr. Hebert, one of the directors of schools, went to the school to meet with the administration and inform the administration of the allegations. The teacher was brought to the principal's office where Mr. Hebert explained the situation in the presence of the principal and other administrative staff. Mr. Hebert answered the teacher's questions without revealing the details of the allegations or the investigation. It was communicated to the teacher that they would have the opportunity to explain their side and rebut any charges made against them at some point in the future. The teacher signed their copy of the letter, placing them on administrative leave, and was excused. Another staff member from the school was brought to the principal's office. Mr. Hebert explained what he could about the situation to that staff member, and they were asked to serve in the capacity of the teacher until the investigation was completed and a final determination was made. Mr. Hebert returned to the office that same Wednesday afternoon. We developed an introductory paragraph explaining the purposes of the investigation and a set of questions that he and I developed so that we could gather information from potential witnesses about the allegations made against the teacher. On Thursday, December 20th, Mr. Hebert, Tanya Hebert, she's one of our supervisors of student services, and administrative staff at the school met to discuss the protocol to collect the witness statements. Earlier in the morning, Ms. Hebert had met with the lead counselor at the school to see if any students had spoken to counselors about any complaints with the teacher. The lead counselor reported back to the group that there had been no complaints. All of the students were brought to the library. Mr. Hebert explained to the students the purpose of the meeting and to provide directions on allowing all students to write their statements. Mr. Hebert explained to the students that once they completed their statement, each student would receive his business card with his office number and his email address to bring home to their parents, and he urged their parents to contact him with any complaint about the team. The goal was to collect the information from each student without them being influenced by other students. Additionally, the students were offered the opportunity to meet individually with Ms. Hebert, the lead counselor, district counselor, or any counselor at the school if they felt they needed to. Once all witness statements were collected, we also spoke to a staff member. That staff member was told about the investigation, and we asked for their statement into the as it related to the investigation. They did so. While Mr. Hebert was at the school, he actually coincidentally did see a student's grandparent, and he did have a conversation with that grandparent, and as it related to our investigation, he took notes. Some of the concerns from the grandparent were not really a part of the investigation and were referred back to the administration. He did have notes that we could consider in the greater investigation that we were conducting. On Friday, December 21st, Mr. Craig and myself met with the teacher who we were investigating to give them the opportunity to write their statement in defense of the allegations. That individual voluntarily gave us a statement. They left. They started the statement. They left. They faxed it back to my office by 2:30 p.m. Friday the 21st. Keep in mind that that was the day before the Christmas holiday, and we were on Christmas vacation from that next Monday, the 24th, through Tuesday, January 1st. The schools were actually out another week, but central office staff were back in the office. When central office staff to work, when staff returned to work on Wednesday, January 2nd, we checked our emails and phone logs and determined and found out that no parents had contacted district offices by phone or email to provide any additional information about the allegations. Mr. Hebert and myself, I shared them with Ms. Trosclair, reviewed the statements. I met with Dr. Aguilar, summarized those findings, and based on our discussion with high-level staff, Ms. Trosclair, Mr. Hebert, myself, and the superintendent, consequence was recommended to the superintendent, which he supported. On Thursday, January 3rd, Mr. Hebert and myself met with the teacher to discuss the results of the investigation and our recommendation for disciplinary action. The individual accepted the disciplinary action and the appropriate documents were signed. At that point, we ended the administrative leave and the teacher returned to their position on that first Monday that schools were back in session.
Thank you, Mr. Craig. Do we have any board member questions or comments on this item?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Chasson?
So let me at least start with, this is not to contest or object or even a witch hunt for any individual person or individual school of that nature. My number one goal and priority in being a school board member is the safety, welfare, and education of the kids in our school system, every single one of them. I love them all. So with that being said, I would like to at least start with the first question of whether a kid is 18, 17, 16, 15, and 14, the ages of the individuals, whether they are 5, 6, 7, 8 ages of the individuals, whether they're 9, 10, 11, 12, or 13. I would like to know for the information brought forth to staff, if we deem it okay or acceptable that a business card sent home with a kid constitutes, oh, well, none of the parents had anything to say. Because that initially, when I heard it, really bothered me, because an overwhelmingly large number of parents said, what business card? Then to ask the kids about said business card, oh, well, yeah, that man had gave us a business card. At what point is that okay for the allegations brought forth for no one to be in contact with the parents whatsoever? Some of the parents had no idea this was even going on, like they were clueless, and then to inform them about what went on, they're like, oh, well, yeah, well, that's been happening.
Is there a, Ms. Boudreaux, please interrupt us.
I'll just suggest that to the extent that we're still on this item, that the investigative proceeding was just explained.
We will take Dr. Chasson's question as a comment in that case.
Right. I mean, it was explained. The question was asked, what was the process? Mm-hmm. The process was just explained. It's over. So you can take for yourself. I mean, the answer, whether you liked it or not.
That I would receive from them?
Well, that was the answer.
Yeah, I mean, you.
I think at this point in time, you can make further comments.
Okay.
But,
I mean, they explained what they did, and so you know what was done, and you can have your feelings about it.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I'm trying not to have any feelings about it. So, second question or comment would be, if the individual involved, which is obviously new to me, wrote a statement, that statement either was written true or written false. If there were things involved in the allegations and the person either, well, I'm going to assume confirmed it, then would there have been a follow-up to that as well, which resulted in a further investigation?
So I'll answer that. I would think so. If there was something that triggered the need to dig deeper, there would be an additional layer of investigation.
Okay.
Likewise, if something would happen today, someone would call the office and make a complaint against an employee, we would launch an investigation.
Okay. So, thirdly speaking, if any of the kids involved put anything in their statements, and this is coming directly from the children, that they were very specific in what they put in their statements, would that then cause a follow-up investigation?
Please refrain from asking questions at this point, I believe.
Okay.
Certainly, we can change the inflection in your voice to make that a comment.
I would hope that would.
That's much better, thank you.
Members of the board, any statement that's rendered in terms of an investigation that would trigger an additional set of questions would be another rabbit hole to go down until we are satisfied that we have, in fact, the essence of what happened, irrefutable essence that this is what we can prove and validate. Then we would administer, if it happened to be discipline for one of our employees, we would administer the discipline we thought was appropriate.
Thank you, Dr. Aguilar.
Okay.
Do you have further comment?
So my last comment would be, tension is high in here, but it doesn't bother me one bit. This is indeed not even anything remotely close to a witch hunt. When a child informs me that they placed something in their statement and that kid was never followed up with the severity, that informs me that no one followed up with the kid. I tend to believe them. So it is not to go after a principal or anyone of that fact. It is to have the kid look me in the eye and I tell them, rest assured, if there was something that needed to be followed up on, it's going to be followed up on. And I would just hope that after, I'd say about 9 solid years of you knowing me, knowing you can count on me, that I wouldn't just, and I appreciate the smile right now because I'm not smiling inside, I would appreciate that you would at least hope to assume that maybe something occurred and maybe staff would follow up on at least some of those allegations. And I'll stop with that.
Thank you, Dr. Chasson. Do we have any other? Well, I saw him first, so I'm going to call him Mr. Hidalgo. And then you, and then...
Just like to make a request of the superintendent in his office that I understand that you all have said that this investigation was thorough and that the case is closed. I'd just like to ask you if you can, just to double check on, we have to have policy on this. So if you can just double check and follow through with the steps that you all went through to make sure that there was no stone left unturned on whatever case is being referred to here, I would appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And it sounds reasonable to me that we would take a look at all of the statements and the evidence collected and just make certain that we have not missed something. I mean, this went through Mr. Craig, Mr. Hebert, Ms. Trosclair, all looked at the body of evidence and agreed on what happened and the necessity for, in this case, disciplinary action, which was administered. I don't have a problem going back and taking a look at...
Let's slow down before we confirm or disconfirm any result of the investigation,
I don't plan
please.
to do so.
I want to
make sure...
I'm pointing out to you.
Well, I mean, Joe's statement said that. We want to make sure that we review and that we're satisfied that the appropriate investigation took place.
Yeah. One last thing.
Well, hold on. We've got a line for
go
him
ahead.
here, Mr. Kneset.
No, I was just going to, I think to Dr. Chasson's first point, it's just as adults and as leaders in our school system, we just need to make sure we're doing the due diligence to thoroughly investigate whatever allegation at whatever school for whatever incident. And due diligence may be different for different kids, different age groups, different socioeconomic backgrounds, but I think we just need to make sure that we're doing that due diligence and maybe a little more thorough. You know, again, you guys went through what seems to be a pretty thorough investigation, but the business card issue, maybe something a little bit more. Anyway, just go back to due diligence, the words due diligence. I think we can do a little bit better with that, potentially. Thank you.
Mr. Angel.
Thank you. I would like to first of all make a statement. In the event that I receive complaints from a school that is in one of my fellow school board members' district, I would be the first person to call it or try to meet with that representative of that school to inform them of the situation. And I would appreciate very much if that favor would be returned to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Angel. Dr. Chasson, final, make it count.
Thank you, sir.
This is it.
Let me reiterate to staff. If you don't know me by now, I am not trying to compel or coerce anyone on staff to further discipline somebody. Not even the furthest stretch of imagination. I've been personally asked, well, what would you like us to do for a million other things? My response is always the exact same. I'm like a robot. No, I just want you to just take a look at it. Okay? So with that being said, I just want the individual that can look me in my eye and tell me that, well, this occurred, and then somebody else tell me this occurred, and then somebody else tell me, well, that occurred. I would just like it to be followed up on, I mean, with true due diligence. And that way I can look the person in the eye and they look up to me. They're supposed to be able to trust me that, hey, look, they actually followed up on it and they didn't find anything. But I'd like it to just be followed up on. So I appreciate it. Don't want any further discipline. I, honest to God, tell y'all all the time, oh, man, I really don't want to see anybody get in trouble. All the time. All the time. But somebody, please, if you could just follow up, I'd appreciate it.
Are there any other board member comments? Being the last item on the agenda, the meeting is adjourned.